Alright guys, welcome back to the Black Gold Homestead. Today I have a gardening seed saving video for you, and in this video we're going to be seed saving tomatoes. I grow my own heirloom tomatoes and I save my own seeds off them. Normally I would be doing it a little earlier in the gardening season, but I haven't gotten around to it, so we're finally doing it now. The tomatoes are a little bit damaged from the colder nights we've been having. But what you want to look for is a nice, healthy, large tomato that's ripened off of a nice, healthy plant. You want it to be off a good plant. You don't want to, of course, save seeds from a plant that didn't yield well or wasn't healthy. So I have a yellow brandywine tomato here, and I have a Paul Robinson. And tomatoes are a little harder to seed save from than some other vegetables, such as squashes and pumpkins and kale and beans. A lot of those you can take the seeds right out, put them on a plate or a paper towel and they'll dry. Or beans, for example, you can let dry right on the vine and then save the seed that way. Tomatoes have a lot of gel around their seeds, so you have to go about saving them a little differently. And today I'm going to show you the simplest and easiest way that I know how to save them. So the first thing we need to do is we need to cut open our tomato. So the first thing we need to do is cut open our tomato. And I'm just going to go at it like this. Normally if it's a smaller tomato, like a cherry tomato, you want to be a little more careful cutting them. But this is a real large tomato, so there should be quite a good bit of seeds in here. Now, like I said, these are open pollinated heirloom tomatoes, so I saved my own seeds off them. Okay. And I don't usually save tomato seeds every year because I find that when I do save seeds, I can save enough at a time to last me several years worth of plantings before needing to save again. The last time I saved seeds off of this variety, I think, was in 2017. So then what we take is a strainer and we find the seed cavity, which this is a meaty variety of tomato, so there's not a whole lot of seed, but there's enough in here to work with. We find the seed cavity and we squeeze our seed into the, it's a little messy, into our strainer. And it kind of ruins the fruit. You can't really eat it after you do this. But and I really like brandywine tomatoes. They come in yellow is the only type I grow, but they also come in a red brandywine and a pink brandywine, and they might even come in a black brandywine. But there's several colors of brandywine tomato. And they're a real meaty tomato, and they're easy to grow. Some of that liquid to go down. There's not a whole lot of seeds in these tomatoes. They're mostly all meat. Some are more seedy than others. But as you can see, there's a lot of gel around these seeds, which makes it difficult to work with when you're saving them. And if not saved properly, the seeds can actually rot. That's why there's a specific procedure that we follow in order to properly save our tomato seeds. And it is messy. Alright, now what we do is we take this over to the sink. And what we do here, I'm going to let it drip down some more like this. And just let some of that juice from the tomato run out. Sometimes you gotta slosh it around a little bit to let it out. You can use a larger strainer as long as it has small holes like the one I'm using, as to not allow the seeds to fall out, of course. Because you don't want to wash all your seeds away. Alright, so now you can see I got most of the liquid out. And what I need to do, I'm just going to dump this in there because there are some seeds in it too I want to get. And for this part, what you will need is, you can use a plastic container like this, a glass drinking cup, a takeout container, or a mason jar. Those are real nice to use, which is what I'm going to be using. But what we're going to do, some seeds will go down the drain, that's just how it is. What we're going to do now is rinse as much gel out as we can before we ferment our seeds. Alright, now you can see we've rinsed our seeds. There's still a little bit of meaty flesh from the tomato, but for such a large tomato, you'll see there's not a whole lot of seeds. That's a nice thing about this variety, is it's a very meaty tomato. But what I did there was I just did this and rinsed it for a few seconds under strong water to get as much gel off as possible. So now we're left with that, but you'll still see that there's gel around it, which makes it hard to work with because all the seeds will stick together. So what we do with tomatoes is we ferment the seeds anywhere from 2 to 5 days. I usually do about 3, and that will rot the gel off, but you got to make sure you do it without letting the seeds sprout. So what I do is I get my jar, I put just a little bit of water in it, and then I dump it out. That way the sides of the jar are wet so the seeds don't stick to it. Then I take my seeds in my strainer, upside down over the jar, and I rinse them out. Alright. And now you'll see that I got my seeds in the jar. If the seeds sank, that means they're good, viable seeds. If they float, they're bad. And you can see here that they're all sinking. So, there's my tomato seeds. And we'll just watch them for a few days. And when the water on the top starts getting murky and dirty, we will dump them back into the strainer. Give them another good rinse over. And then, at that point, we will go ahead and put them on a paper towel to dry. Alright guys, we're going to do the same process, follow the same process as we did with the last tomato, but we're just going to be using the Paul Robinson tomato to seed save off of. And Paul Robinson is another variety that I like. It is a Russian variety, so it's a short season tomato, and it's another nice meaty tomato, but it is a smaller tomato. You'll see it's a nice brick red tomato when ripe, and it is considered to be an heirloom tomato, and it's open pollinated. So you save the seeds and they come true to type. That's something that doesn't happen with your hybrid tomatoes. There's a look at the inside. And then we're going to cut it in half like the last one. It's a beautiful tomato. These are with a good flavor. Once again, very meaty. Of course, you'd get a little bit more seeds if you cut it flat ways, but I usually cut it into quarters when I'm seed saving. I think this might actually yield a little bit more seeds than our brandywine did. And we'll just follow the same process as we did for the last tomato with this one, as we seed save. And stay tuned for part 2 of the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.